You watch with teammates or you watch at home?
Nah, I'm trying to make it out of here so I can call Shedeur real quick and make sure he can get it done. So I'll probably just be,
Improvement with Shedeur, too. I mean, see a little improvement from Shedeur today, Coach, huh?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, man, those rookies leading everything. That's why they won 3 games. This team ain't going to be close this game. Aaron Rodgers, I'm fascinated by that. I love seeing it. I mean, let's say what it is, right? When you look at it, it's all about Myles Garrett, all right, getting the sack. But that is fascinating by Aaron Rodgers, that your clip. And what it showed is he actually was in protection, okay? And then he says, hey, look, they're just playing, they're showing too high.
When 2 NFL legends go on national television and spread misinformation about a 22-year-old quarterback, they probably expect him to stay quiet. They probably expect him to take it on the chin, smile, and wait his turn like a good little prospect. But Shedeur Sanders is not that guy. And Rex Ryan and Randy Moss just found that out the hard way. What happened over the past 72 hours has sent shockwaves through the sports media world. 2 of ESPN's most recognizable faces got caught pushing a narrative that simply wasn't true. And when Shedeur Sanders saw what they said,
improvement from Shedeur today, Coach, huh?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, man, those rookies leading everything. That's why they won 3 games. This team ain't going to be close this game. Aaron Rodgers, I'm fascinated by that. I love seeing it. I mean, let's say what it is, right? When you look at it, it's all about Myles Garrett.
Going back to this game to look forward, you're talking about the Cleveland Browns being able to just win 3 games. Rightfully so, Rex. They're going to be a team to reckon with down the road by having this young roster.
I know you don't listen, but please, every time your team wins a game, please use we and us. That's it.
he didn't just respond. He came with receipts. He came with facts. And he absolutely demolished their credibility in a way that nobody saw coming. This is the full story of how 2 Hall of Fame voices got fact-checked and embarrassed by a college quarterback who refuses to be disrespected. And trust me, by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why the entire NFL world is talking about this moment. Let's get into it. Before we break down exactly what went down, you need to understand who Shedeur Sanders really is. Because if you only know him as Deion Sanders' son, you're missing the entire picture. Yes, his father is one of the greatest athletes to ever live. Yes, he grew up in the spotlight. Yes, he's been on magazine covers and reality shows and social media since before he could drive. But here's what the casual fan doesn't realize. Shedeur Sanders is a legitimate NFL-caliber quarterback in his own right. At Colorado, Shedeur rewrote the record books.
There were some things that Rex said that if he actually followed it with a coherent thought, I would agree with. Is there a disconnect between Shedeur and Kevin? That's a fair question. I don't think there is. I think Kevin just has his attention elsewhere. But again, that's a fair question. But to act like the kid sitting on the sideline or that in the press conference said, hey, I really feel like this loss is on me, that it's somehow an indictment on his character, just say you don't like the kid. Or just say you haven't heard things that are good about him from the little NFL circles, instead of pretending like it has anything to do with the way that kid composed himself, because anybody that watched his press conference should have come away even more feeling like, hey, that's just a good kid, whether he's a good quarterback or not. In the same way, by the way, that I don't think Dylan Gabriel is going to be a starting NFL quarterback ever. He shouldn't be right now.
He threw for over 8,000 yards and 65 touchdowns during his time with the Buffaloes. He led one of the most stunning turnarounds in college football history, taking a program that won just 1 game the year before Coach Prime arrived and turning them into a nationally relevant team almost overnight. His arm talent is undeniable. His accuracy in the short and intermediate game is elite. His pocket presence and decision-making have drawn comparisons to some of the best to ever do it. Multiple NFL scouts have gone on record saying that Shedeur has the highest floor of any quarterback in the 2025 draft class. That means he's the safest pick, the one most likely to succeed at the next level. But here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders that rubs some people the wrong way. He knows he's good, and he's not afraid to say it. In a league full of cookie-cutter answers and media-trained responses, Shedeur speaks his mind. He carries himself with a confidence that some call arrogance. He wears custom jewelry. He makes bold statements. He doesn't shrink in big moments. And for certain members of the old guard, that's a problem. They want their quarterbacks humble. They want them quiet. They want them to earn the right to speak by suffering in silence for years. Shedeur Sanders has never played that game. And that's exactly why he's become such a polarizing figure heading into the NFL draft. Some analysts love his swagger. They see a born leader who can handle the pressure of being a franchise quarterback. Others can't stand him. They look for any reason to tear him down, to question his abilities, to suggest he's only where he is because of his last name. Rex Ryan and Randy Moss, as it turns out, decided to go with option 2. It all started during a recent ESPN broadcast. The network was doing their usual pre-draft coverage, breaking down the top quarterback prospects and debating who should go where. And when Shedeur Sanders' name came up, things took a turn. Rex Ryan, never one to hold back his opinions, launched into a critique of Shedeur that immediately raised eyebrows. He questioned Shedeur's arm strength, suggesting he didn't have the juice to make all the throws at the NFL level. He brought up concerns about his ability to handle pressure, implying that Shedeur had been protected by Colorado's offensive scheme and hadn't proven he could operate in a pro-style system. But here's where it got really interesting. Rex made a specific claim about Shedeur's performance in key games. He suggested that when the lights were brightest and the stakes were highest, Shedeur had wilted. He painted a picture of a quarterback who talked a big game but couldn't deliver when it mattered most. Randy Moss, sitting right next to him, nodded along. The Hall of Fame receiver added his own commentary, questioning whether Shedeur had the it factor that separates good quarterbacks from great ones. He suggested that the swagger we see might be covering up insecurity, that the confidence might be a mask. Now look, sports analysis involves opinions. Analysts are paid to share their takes, even when those takes are controversial. But there's a difference between having an opinion and making claims that are demonstrably false. And that's exactly what Rex Ryan did. The specific statistical claims he made about Shedeur's performance, wrong. The narrative he pushed about Shedeur shrinking in big moments, contradicted by actual game tape. The suggestion that Shedeur couldn't make throws, laughable to anyone who had actually watched him play. It was sloppy, it was lazy, and it was about to blow up in their faces. Within hours of the broadcast, the receipts started flooding in. Football Twitter went to work. Analysts who actually study film started posting threads, and the evidence was overwhelming. Shedeur Sanders, far from wilting in big moments, had delivered some of his best performances when everything was on the line. His fourth-quarter numbers in close games were exceptional. His completion percentage under pressure ranked among the best in college football. The throws that Rex Ryan said he couldn't make, there were compilation videos showing him making those exact throws, over and over again. One clip in particular went viral. It showed Shedeur threading a needle into double coverage on a crucial third down, the exact type of throw Rex Ryan claimed he couldn't complete. The ball placement was perfect. The timing was immaculate. The throw was NFL-ready in every sense of the word. Former NFL quarterback Robert Griffin III, never one to stay quiet on social media, posted a breakdown of Shedeur's tape that directly contradicted everything Rex and Randy had said. He called out the lazy analysis. He questioned whether they had actually watched the film or just showed up to repeat narratives they'd heard elsewhere. Other analysts piled on. The consensus was clear. Rex Ryan and Randy Moss had either not done their homework, or they had deliberately pushed a false narrative for reasons only they could explain. And then Shedeur Sanders himself decided to weigh in. When Shedeur saw what Rex Ryan and Randy Moss had said about him, he could have taken the high road. He could have issued some bland statement about respecting the process and proving people wrong on the field. That's what most prospects would do. That's what agents tell their clients to do, but Shedeur Sanders has never been most prospects. His response was surgical, it was devastating, and it went absolutely viral. Taking to social media, Shedeur didn't just defend himself, he exposed them. He posted the receipts. He shared the clips. He laid out the statistics that proved, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that Rex Ryan and Randy Moss had been spreading misinformation on national television. But it wasn't just the facts that made his response so memorable. It was the tone. Shedeur was calm, almost eerily calm. There was no screaming, no ranting, no emotional outburst, just cold, calculated precision. He dismantled their arguments point by point, and he did it with the same confidence he shows in the pocket when the pass rush is closing in. One line in particular had the internet going crazy. Addressing Rex Ryan directly, Shedeur pointed out that he had more game-winning drives in the fourth quarter last season than Rex Ryan had playoff wins in his entire coaching career. The numbers backed it up, and the football world collectively lost its mind. It was the kind of response that makes you grab your phone.
He's been saying glowing things in the interviews about Shedeur. However, a coach that tenured that's been there that long, he would have had some input on who they selected in the NFL draft and who they didn't select. So he was obviously asked about Shedeur Sanders and didn't think enough of him to stick his neck out there for him, despite having a relationship with Coach Prime. And so I just want to remind people of that.
And immediately share it with everyone you know. It was the kind of moment that turns a college quarterback into a cultural figure. And it was the kind of clapback that Rex Ryan and Randy Moss will never live down. Within 24 hours, the video had millions of views. Sports blogs were writing articles about it. Podcasters were reacting to it. Former NFL players were posting fire emojis and laughing emojis and declaring Shedeur the winner by knockout. The narrative had completely flipped. Suddenly, Rex Ryan and Randy Moss weren't the analysts holding a young prospect accountable. They were the ones who got caught lacking. They were the ones who had to answer for their words. The fallout was immediate and brutal. On social media, Rex Ryan and Randy Moss got absolutely roasted. Fans dug up old clips of them making other questionable takes. Memes started circulating. The jokes wrote themselves. But beyond the internet comedy, there was a more serious conversation happening.
That's coming from a veteran coach. Let's state the obvious here. Rex Ryan, amongst other NFL analysts, have voiced their opinion about Shedeur. But if I'm Shedeur Sanders, I will implement we, not me. It's easy for an individual to take on the praise and making it about him. And I don't think that that's the case for Shedeur. Yeah. Hear that out. Because the amount of maturity that shifted, this is the same individual that was miming in front of the camera a couple weeks ago to the person that was saying certain things that you would expect from quarterback. But now the person that we're seeing poised, he's been here before. He's well and capable of being what we need him to be. But now, as you have more success, understand the political aspect that's needed in order for you to be a true leader in the locker room as an NFL quarterback.
People started asking why two respected analysts would go on national television and push a narrative that was so easily disproven. Was it lazy preparation? Was it personal bias? Was there something about Shedeur Sanders or his father that rubbed them the wrong way? The accusations of bias weren't new. Throughout his college career, Shedeur has dealt with critics who seem determined to tear him down regardless of what he accomplished. Some have suggested that the Deion Sanders factor cuts both ways. Yes, having a famous father opens doors, but it also puts a target on your back. It invites scrutiny that other players never face. There's a faction of the sports media world that seems almost offended by Deion's success as a college coach. They predicted he would fail at Colorado. When he didn't fail, they looked for other ways to diminish what he built. And Shedeur, as the most visible player on the team and the son of the head coach, became an easy target. Rex Ryan, for his part, has not issued a formal apology. He's largely avoided addressing the controversy directly, which has only added fuel to the fire. His silence has been interpreted as either embarrassment or stubbornness, depending on who you ask. Randy Moss has been similarly quiet. For a Hall of Famer who built his career on being outspoken and authentic, the silence is notable. It suggests that even he knows there's no good defense for what happened. So what does all of this mean for Shedeur Sanders and his NFL future? Here's the truth. Moments like this can actually help a prospect's draft stock. NFL teams aren't just evaluating arm strength and footwork. They're evaluating mental toughness. They're evaluating how a player handles adversity. They're evaluating whether someone can deal with the pressure of being a franchise quarterback in a league where every mistake gets analyzed and criticized. Shedeur Sanders just showed the entire NFL that he can handle the heat. He showed that he's not going to be rattled by critics or intimidated by big names. He showed that he can defend himself with poise and precision while making his opponents look foolish. For teams looking for their next franchise quarterback, that's an incredibly valuable trait. The NFL is a brutal environment. The media scrutiny is relentless. The pressure is unlike anything in college football. Teams want to know that their quarterback can thrive in that environment, not just survive it. Shedeur Sanders just passed that test with flying colors. Current mock drafts have him projected as a first-round pick, with some analysts predicting he could go in the top 10. Teams like the Raiders, Giants, and Titans have all been linked to quarterback-needy situations where Shedeur could step in and compete for a starting job immediately. And now, after this incident, there's even more buzz around his name. Not because of controversy, but because of how he handled it. He turned a negative into a positive. He transformed an attack into an opportunity to showcase his mentality. That's what franchise quarterbacks do. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, this moment represents something larger than just a beef between a prospect and two analysts. It represents a generational shift in how athletes interact with the media. The old model was simple. Analysts said whatever they wanted, and players kept quiet. The power dynamic favored the media. They controlled the narrative. They decided who got praised and who got criticized. Players had limited platforms to respond, and speaking out was often seen as a distraction. That model is dead. Today's athletes have direct access to millions of fans through social media. They don't need ESPN to tell their story. They can tell it themselves. And when analysts get caught pushing false narratives, players can fact-check them in real time, in front of the entire world. Shedeur Sanders understands this better than almost anyone. He's been building his personal brand since he was a teenager. He knows how to use social media. He knows how to control his narrative. And he's not afraid to punch back when someone comes for him. That might make some old-school analysts uncomfortable. It might challenge their sense of authority, but it's the new reality. And Rex Ryan and Randy Moss just learned that lesson the hard way. As this story continues to develop, one thing is crystal clear. Shedeur Sanders is not going anywhere. The critics can say what they want. The analysts can question him all day long, but he's going to keep showing up, keep performing, and keep proving people wrong. The 2025 NFL Draft is right around the corner, and Shedeur Sanders is going to be one of the most talked about prospects in the entire class. Some teams will love him. Some teams will have concerns. That's how it works with every quarterback. but after what we just witnessed, no one can question his mentality. No one can question his ability to handle pressure, and no one can question whether he has the backbone to succeed in the NFL. Rex Ryan and Randy Moss tried to tear him down on national television. They pushed a narrative that wasn't supported by facts, and Shedeur Sanders made them pay for it. That's not arrogance. That's not cockiness. That's a young man who knows his worth and refuses to let anyone diminish it. The NFL is about to get a quarterback who won't back down from anyone. And if this week taught us anything, it's that you come at Shedeur Sanders, you better come correct. Because if you don't, he's going to expose you, he's going to embarrass you, and he's going to do it with a smile on his face. The future is bright for Shedeur Sanders, and somewhere, Rex Ryan and Randy Moss are probably hoping this whole thing just blows over. It won't.